Everything shattered the moment I discovered my own siblings had stolen my entire $250,000 inheritance. Before I tell you what happened, take a second and subscribe to Truth Drama Stories, because stories like this prove family can betray you the hardest. My name is Emily Carter, and until that day, I trusted my family completely. I believed blood meant loyalty. I believed siblings protected each other. I believed my grandfather's love would always keep our family together. I was painfully wrong. The day everything started looked perfectly normal. Sunlight spilled across Grandpa's old wooden dining table that morning. The house smelled like cinnamon pancakes and strong black coffee. Grandpa loved slow mornings like that. He sat at the head of the table, reading the newspaper quietly. My older brother Jason scrolled through his phone impatiently. My younger sister Lily kept tapping her nails on the glass table. Something about their energy felt strange that morning. Cold, distant, like they were hiding something from me. At the time, I ignored the feeling. I wish I hadn't. Grandpa folded the newspaper carefully and looked straight at us. His eyes always carried wisdom and quiet authority. "Kids," he said calmly, "there's something important we need to discuss today." Jason leaned back in his chair immediately. Lily stopped tapping her nails. I noticed them exchange a quick glance. That glance made my stomach tighten. Grandpa cleared his throat slowly. "As you know, I updated my will last month," he continued. My heart skipped slightly. We knew Grandpa had built a successful construction company decades ago. He had sold it years earlier for millions. But Grandpa was never flashy with money. He believed money should protect family, not destroy it. Or so I thought. "I've set aside a special inheritance fund," Grandpa said carefully. Jason's eyes instantly lit up. Lily sat up straighter in her chair. I felt confused. Grandpa rarely talked about money openly. "The fund contains $250,000, Grandpa continued slowly. Silence filled the room. Jason nearly dropped his phone. Lily's mouth opened slightly. Even I felt shocked hearing the number. Grandpa turned his eyes toward me. "Emily," he said softly. My chest tightened instantly. "Yes, Grandpa?" I replied quietly. "That inheritance belongs to you." The words stunned everyone at the table. Jason froze completely. Lily blinked rapidly. I felt like the air left the room. "Me?" I whispered in disbelief. Grandpa nodded calmly. "You've always been the one who cared about family first." Jason suddenly laughed loudly. "Oh, come on, Grandpa," he said with forced humor. Lily joined the laugh awkwardly, but Grandpa didn't smile. His face remained serious. "I made this decision very carefully," he said firmly. Jason's smile slowly faded. "Why her?" he asked sharply. Grandpa's eyes hardened slightly. "Because Emily never asked me for a single dollar." Jason looked irritated. Lily crossed her arms defensively. The mood shifted instantly. Heavy tension settled over the room. I didn't even know what to say. "Grandpa, that's too much," I said nervously. He waved his hand dismissively. "It's not about the money," he replied calmly. "It's about trust." Jason suddenly pushed his chair back. "That's ridiculous," he snapped. Lily nodded beside him. "Yeah, it makes no sense," she added quietly. Grandpa didn't raise his voice, but his tone carried absolute authority. "My decision is final." Jason stared at me with something ugly in his eyes. Jealousy, pure jealousy. That moment should have warned me, but I still believed we were family. The rest of breakfast felt painfully awkward. Jason barely spoke. Lily avoided looking at me completely. Grandpa eventually left the table to take his morning walk. The moment the door closed, Jason turned toward me slowly. "So," he said coldly, "you're the favorite now." My chest tightened. "That's not what this is," I said softly. Lily scoffed loudly. "Please, Emily," she muttered. "You always played the sweet, innocent card." Her words shocked me. "What are you talking about?" I asked quietly. Jason leaned forward across the table. "You think we don't notice?" he said bitterly. "Grandpa worships you." "That's not true," I said quickly. But even I knew Grandpa trusted me more. Jason shook his head slowly. "You just stole our inheritance," he said flatly. My stomach dropped instantly. "I didn't steal anything," I replied. "Grandpa made the decision himself." Lily rolled her eyes. "Of course you'd say that." Her voice carried pure resentment. Jason suddenly stood up. His chair scraped loudly across the floor. "This isn't over," he muttered darkly. Then he walked out of the kitchen. Lily followed him silently, leaving me sitting alone at the table. My hands trembled slightly. Something about their reaction felt deeply wrong, but I still believed they would calm down. I believed we would talk it out later. I believed my siblings loved me. That night proved how naive I truly was. 2 weeks passed quietly after that breakfast. Jason barely spoke to me. Lily acted polite but distant. Grandpa seemed unaware of the tension growing between us. Then one afternoon, everything exploded. I had just finished work when my bank sent a notification. At first, I ignored it, but something about the alert felt urgent. So I opened my banking app, and my heart instantly stopped. The inheritance account was completely empty. Every single dollar had vanished. $250,000. Gone. My hands started shaking violently. I checked the transaction history again and again. The money had been transferred earlier that morning to another account, an account I didn't recognize. Panic flooded my chest. I immediately called the bank. After 10 painful minutes, the manager returned to the phone. "Miss Carter," he said carefully. "Yes." I asked nervously. "The transfer was authorized using your account credentials." My mind raced instantly. "That's impossible," I whispered. "I didn't authorize anything." The manager hesitated briefly. "Actually," he said slowly, "the transfer was approved through your family access authorization." Cold fear crawled down my spine. Family access. Only 2 people had that permission. Jason and Lily. Suddenly, every strange moment made sense. The jealous looks, the whispered conversations, the cold silence during those past weeks. My own brother and sister had robbed me. I felt sick to my stomach, but the real nightmare hadn't even started yet. Because that same night, Grandpa called for a massive family reunion, and he said something that chilled my blood. "I know someone in this family is lying," he said quietly, "and tomorrow the truth comes out." I barely slept that night after Grandpa's phone call. His words echoed inside my head again and again. "I know someone in this family is lying, and tomorrow the truth comes out." The sentence felt like a ticking bomb waiting to explode. I kept staring at my phone screen. The emptied bank account still looked unreal. $250,000. Gone in a single transfer. Stolen by my own brother and sister. At least that's what my gut screamed. But part of me still hoped there was another explanation. Some mistake. Some misunderstanding. I wanted to believe my family couldn't do something that cruel. Morning came faster than I expected. My alarm rang at 6. I had barely slept 2 hours. My head pounded as I sat up in bed. Today was the family reunion. Grandpa hosted one every summer, but this one felt different. Heavy, dangerous, like something huge was about to break. I got dressed slowly and drove to Grandpa's house. The same house where everything had started weeks earlier. My stomach twisted the closer I got. Cars already filled the long gravel driveway. Uncles, aunts, cousins, everyone was there. Grandpa had called the entire family. That alone was unusual. He rarely gathered everyone unless something serious happened. I stepped out of my car slowly. The warm summer air felt strangely suffocating. Laughter drifted from the backyard, but the sound felt forced, fake. I walked toward the house carefully. The moment I stepped inside, I saw Jason. He stood near the living room window, holding a drink. His expression hardened the second he saw me. Lily stood beside him. She looked nervous, but not guilty, just tense. Jason gave me a thin smile. "Well, look who finally showed up," he said. His voice carried sarcasm. I crossed my arms. "Where's Grandpa?" I asked quietly. "Outside with the others." Lily replied quickly. She avoided my eyes. That alone confirmed everything for me. They knew what they did, and they knew I had probably figured it out. Jason leaned closer. "Big day today," he said under his breath. My heart pounded. "What did you do with the money?" I whispered sharply. Jason blinked slowly. "What money?" he asked. I stared at him in disbelief. "Don't play dumb." Lily shifted uncomfortably beside him. Jason tilted his head. "You're accusing us of something," he said calmly. "You transferred the inheritance." I snapped. His expression turned cold instantly. "Careful, Emily." "Why?" I shot back. "Because lies can destroy families." My anger exploded. "You already destroyed this family." A few relatives glanced toward us. Jason grabbed my arm. Suddenly, "Lower your voice," he muttered. I yanked my arm away. "You stole from me." Lily stepped forward quickly. "Emily, you don't understand." "Then explain it," I demanded. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Jason answered instead. "You think Grandpa giving you everything was fair?" My heart sank. "So you admit it?" Jason smirked slightly. "I didn't say that." Before I could respond, a loud voice echoed through the house. "Everyone outside." It was Grandpa. His voice carried authority, like always. Conversations stopped instantly. People began moving toward the backyard. Jason gave me one last cold look. "Careful what you accuse people of," he said quietly. Then he walked outside. Lily followed him quickly, leaving me standing alone again. My chest felt tight. Something about today felt bigger than stolen money. Like Grandpa already knew everything and was waiting for the right moment. The backyard was packed when I stepped outside. Family members stood in small groups across the lawn. Grandpa stood near the large oak tree, the same tree he planted 30 years ago. His posture looked calm, but his eyes looked sharp, observing everyone carefully. Jason and Lily stood across the yard, talking quietly with our cousin Mark. I walked toward Grandpa slowly. The moment he saw me, his expression softened slightly. "Emily," he said gently. I forced a small smile. "Hi, Grandpa." He studied my face carefully. "You look tired." I hesitated. "I didn't sleep much." His eyes narrowed slightly. "I imagine not." That response surprised me. "Grandpa, did something happen?" I asked quietly. He looked toward the crowd briefly. Then back at me. Yes, he said calmly. My heart began racing. What do you mean? Grandpa placed a hand on my shoulder. Something important was brought to my attention yesterday. Cold fear crept through my chest. About the inheritance. I asked. His eyes locked onto mine. Exactly. I swallowed hard. I was going to tell you. I said quickly, but he raised his hand gently. I already know the money is gone. The words hit like thunder. You know, I whispered. Grandpa nodded slowly. I know someone transferred the entire fund yesterday morning. My hands trembled again. I think it was Jason and Lily. I said. He didn't react immediately. Instead, he studied the crowd again. Then he spoke quietly. Emily, do you trust me? The question caught me off guard. Of course, I said instantly. Completely. He nodded once. Good. Then he stepped forward toward the center of the yard and raised his voice. Family, may I have your attention? The conversation stopped immediately. Everyone turned toward him. Even Jason and Lily looked curious. Grandpa stood tall beside the oak tree. His voice carried across the entire yard. I called this reunion because something serious has happened. Murmurs spread through the crowd. My Aunt Susan looked confused. What's going on, Dad? She asked. Grandpa clasped his hands behind his back. $250,000 disappeared yesterday. Gasps echoed around the lawn. Jason's face remained strangely calm. Lily looked down at the grass. Grandpa continued speaking. That money belonged to Emily. All eyes turned toward me. My heart pounded painfully, but someone in this family decided to steal it. The word steal landed heavily. Silence followed. Grandpa's voice became colder. I already know who did it. Jason's jaw tightened. Lily looked pale. The tension became unbearable. Then Jason suddenly stepped forward. Well, if you already know, he said boldly. Why don't you just say it? The entire family watched him. Grandpa looked directly at Jason. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Grandpa did something unexpected. He smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the calm smile of someone who had already won. You're right, Grandpa said quietly. I should say it. My heart slammed against my ribs. Jason crossed his arms confidently. Lily stood frozen beside him. Grandpa slowly reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Then he said something that shocked the entire family. Before I reveal the thief, he announced, I want everyone here to watch a short video. Grandpa held the small envelope in his hand like it carried a secret. The entire backyard had gone completely silent. Even the wind seemed to pause around us. Jason shifted his weight impatiently. A video, he said with a short laugh. What kind of video? Grandpa didn't answer immediately. Instead, he slowly walked toward the patio table. A small laptop sat there beside a portable speaker. I hadn't noticed it earlier. Grandpa placed the envelope beside the computer carefully. Then he looked up at everyone again. This video was sent to me yesterday afternoon, he said calmly. Murmurs spread through the family again. My Aunt Susan frowned. Sent by who? She asked. Grandpa's eyes moved slowly across the crowd. That, he said quietly, is the interesting part. Jason rubbed his forehead impatiently. Can we just get to the point? He said. Lily stood beside him like a statue. Her hands were tightly clasped together. Grandpa ignored Jason's tone completely. He opened the laptop slowly. The screen glowed under the afternoon sunlight. My heart began pounding harder with every second. Something inside me whispered, that this video would change everything. Grandpa connected the speaker. Then he turned the screen toward the family. "I believe the truth should always be seen," he said quietly. Jason scoffed under his breath. But I noticed something strange. For the first time all day, he looked nervous. Grandpa clicked the play button. The video started instantly. The camera angle looked familiar. Too familiar. My stomach dropped. It was security footage from inside Grandpa's house. Specifically, the hallway outside his home office. The room where Grandpa kept financial documents. The same office where the inheritance paperwork had been signed. The timestamp showed yesterday morning, 8:14 a.m. Gasps spread through the crowd. Then two figures appeared on the screen. Jason and Lily. My chest tightened instantly. They looked around the hallway carefully, like they were making sure no one was watching. Jason spoke quietly in the video. "Grandpa's at the pharmacy. We have 30 minutes. The words sent chills through my body. Lily looked nervous. "Are you sure this will work?" she asked. Jason smirked confidently. "Relax," he replied. "Emily's account access is still connected to the family authorization." My hands started shaking. The entire family watched in stunned silence. Jason in the video pulled out his phone. Then he opened Grandpa's office door. They both walked inside. The hallway camera couldn't see what happened next, but the audio still carried faintly. We could hear their voices through the office doorway. Jason's voice sounded excited. "Found it." Lily whispered something quietly. "Just transfer it already," she said nervously. Jason laughed softly. $250,000, he said. Grandpa really lost his mind giving this to Emily. The real Jason standing in the yard went completely pale. My Aunt Susan covered her mouth in shock. Uncle Robert muttered something under his breath. The video continued playing. Jason's voice again. "Account number confirmed." A few seconds passed. Then Lily asked the question that froze the entire crowd. "Are you sure Emily won't notice immediately?" Jason chuckled. "She's too trusting." He paused. "Besides, by the time she figures it out, the money will be untouchable." My heart cracked hearing those words. Untouchable. They planned everything carefully. They didn't just steal from me. They expected to get away with it. The video kept playing. Jason tapped something on his phone. Then he said the words that echoed across the yard. "Transfer complete." Gasps erupted everywhere. Lily let out a nervous laugh in the video. "Oh my God," she said. "We actually did it." Jason grinned proudly. "Best decision we've ever made." Then the video ended. Grandpa slowly closed the laptop. The silence afterward felt suffocating. No one spoke for several seconds. Every single person stared at Jason and Lily. Jason's face looked completely drained. Lily looked like she might faint. My cousin Mark stepped away from them slowly, like they were suddenly dangerous. Finally, Uncle Robert broke the silence. "Jason," he said sharply, "tell me that video is fake." Jason opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Lily began shaking her head quickly. "It's not what it looks like," she whispered. Grandpa finally spoke again. His voice was calm, but colder than I had ever heard. "Explain it then." Jason ran a hand through his hair frantically. "We were just joking," he said quickly. "That video doesn't prove anything." Grandpa raised one eyebrow slightly. "Really?" Then he reached into his pocket again and pulled out another paper. "This," he said slowly, "is the transfer record from the bank." He held it up so everyone could see. The account receiving. "The money belongs to Jason Carter." My stomach twisted again. But the real shock came next. Grandpa continued speaking, and the co-owner of that account. He turned his eyes toward Lily. Is Lily Carter? The crowd erupted into angry voices. My Aunt Susan looked furious. You stole from your own sister, she snapped. Uncle Robert shook his head in disbelief. This is unbelievable. Lily started crying suddenly. It wasn't supposed to go like this, she sobbed. Jason glared at Grandpa. You set us up, he said angrily. Grandpa didn't flinch. No, he replied calmly. You set yourselves up. Jason clenched his fists. You gave Emily everything. Grandpa's eyes hardened instantly. No, he corrected. I gave her trust. Jason laughed bitterly. Well, congratulations, he snapped. You just destroyed your family. The words hung in the air, but Grandpa's expression didn't change. Instead, he said something that stunned everyone again. Oh, Jason, he said quietly. You still don't understand. Jason frowned. Understand what? Grandpa folded his hands behind his back again. The money you stole yesterday, he paused for dramatic effect, was never Emily's inheritance. Confused murmurs spread across the yard. Jason blinked in disbelief. What are you talking about? Grandpa looked directly into his eyes. That account was a test. The entire family froze. Jason's confidence shattered instantly. A test, he whispered. Grandpa nodded slowly. Yes. Then he delivered the sentence. That changed everything. The real inheritance is worth $5 million. Jason stared at Grandpa like the ground had just disappeared beneath him. $5 million, he repeated slowly. The entire backyard erupted into shocked whispers. Even I felt dizzy hearing the number. $5 million. I had never even imagined that much money. Lily wiped tears from her cheeks, staring at Grandpa. You're lying, she whispered weakly. Grandpa shook his head once. No. His voice stayed calm and steady. The construction company's sale left a large trust. He looked around the yard. I planned to divide it among family members who proved loyalty. Jason's face twisted with anger. So you dangled money in front of us? He snapped. Grandpa's eyes turned icy. No, I revealed character. Silence spread again. Everyone understood exactly what he meant. Jason ran both hands through his hair. This is insane, he muttered. Lily stepped forward desperately. Grandpa, please, she cried. We made a mistake. Grandpa watched her quietly. A mistake, he repeated. Yes, she said quickly. We panicked when Emily got the inheritance. Jason nodded immediately. Anyone would have reacted the same way. The family murmured again, but Grandpa slowly shook his head. No, he said firmly. Not everyone would steal. Jason's jaw tightened. You pushed us into it. He argued. You created jealousy. Grandpa's voice hardened. No, Jason. Jealousy already existed. The words landed like a hammer. Lily began crying harder. We'll return the money, she said desperately. I promise. Grandpa looked at her for several seconds. Then he said something that shocked everyone again. I already have it. Jason blinked. What? Grandpa nodded toward the laptop. The bank froze the account this morning. Jason's face turned red. You froze it? Yes. Grandpa's voice stayed calm. The transfer triggered a fraud alert. Jason looked furious. So the money is back? Yes. The crowd relaxed slightly, but Grandpa raised a finger. However, everyone looked at him again. That money no longer belongs to Emily. My heart skipped. I looked at him in confusion. Grandpa? He turned toward me gently. Emily, you passed the test. Jason laughed bitterly. A test she didn't even know about. Grandpa nodded calmly. Exactly. He stepped closer to me. You never asked about the inheritance again. You didn't brag. You didn't pressure anyone. I felt overwhelmed listening to him. I just trusted you. I said softly. Grandpa smiled warmly for the first time all afternoon. And that's why the Real inheritance belongs to you. The yard exploded with reactions. Jason stepped forward angrily. This is ridiculous. Grandpa raised his hand sharply. No, Jason froze. Your actions disqualified you. Jason shook his head. You can't cut us out like that. Grandpa looked him straight in the eyes. I just did. The words hit like thunder. Lily collapsed onto a chair nearby. Jason paced across the grass like a trapped animal. This family will never recover from this, he muttered. Grandpa sighed slowly. No, Jason. This family might finally learn something. He turned toward the rest of the relatives. Money reveals truth. Everyone listened carefully. It shows who values people. He paused. And who values power. Jason stopped pacing. You're punishing us forever over one mistake. Grandpa looked at him sadly. You didn't just steal money. You betrayed your sister. Jason looked away. Grandpa continued speaking. And worse, he paused again. You celebrated it. Jason had no response. The video had exposed everything. Lily looked up through tears. Please, Grandpa, she whispered. Give us another chance. Grandpa remained silent for several seconds. The tension felt unbearable. Then he finally spoke again. I will give you a chance. Jason looked up quickly. Hope flashed across his face. But Grandpa's next sentence crushed it. A chance to rebuild trust. Jason frowned. What does that mean? Grandpa's voice became firm again. You will return every dollar. That part is obvious, Jason said quickly. Grandpa nodded. Then you will spend the next year volunteering at the Family Charity Foundation. Jason blinked. What? You will help families who struggle to pay rent. You will help kids who need school supplies. Lily looked confused. That's our punishment. Grandpa shook his head slowly. No, that's your education. The crowd murmured again. Jason looked furious. You're serious? Yes. Jason laughed bitterly. And what if we refuse? Grandpa didn't hesitate. Then you are no longer welcome in this family. The yard went completely silent again. Those words carried absolute finality. Jason looked stunned. Lily stared at the ground. For the first time, they understood how serious this was. Grandpa then turned toward me again. Emily, he said gently, yes, the $5 million trust will be transferred to you next week. My heart pounded. That's too much responsibility. I said quietly. Grandpa smiled. I trust you. He placed a hand on my shoulder. And trust is the most valuable inheritance anyone can receive. Tears filled my eyes. Jason looked at me across the yard. For once, there was no anger in his face, only regret. Lily wiped her eyes again. The truth had finally shattered everything. Grandpa looked around at the entire family one last time. Let this be a lesson for all of you. Everyone listened carefully. Money can build houses. He paused. But character builds families. No one argued with him, because deep down, everyone knew he was right. And that day, under the old oak tree, our family learned a truth none of us would ever forget. Greed destroys faster than poverty ever could. But integrity creates a legacy that no amount of money can buy.